Hello, hello, and good morning. Welcome to the Going Executive Director Show. My name is Brandy, and Jeff will be joining us here in a few minutes. So to start off, our purpose is to give you the skills, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and daily activities needed for you to build a solid, profitable business. Remember, this is our team's philosophy. So we will be mentioning team specifics here with the company that Jeff and I are working with. So if you guys are waiting for the MLM Leadership Show, and that is our generic training that starts at noon. And we're going to kick off today with, we've been going over John Maxwell's 21 indispensable qualities of a leader, and we are on quality number 15, which is relationships. The most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. And that could be true even outside of business. You need to be able to get along with other people. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So how do you do that? And it's in building relationships with people. Morning. Sorry, I was just seeing who was messaging me. All right. So you need to have interest in other people and what they like and staying in contact with them. An example of where we've done this, we ended up having to run our cats to the emergency clinic at 4 a.m. one morning because I came home and my poor little girl kitty was having some issues, and I'm like, okay, this isn't right. Like, we need to take her somewhere ASAP. And we did, so we took her to a 24-hour clinic, and they were really good about helping us, but they're like, we're sorry to tell you, but she has some type of infection, and we're gonna have to take her in for surgery. And they quoted us on what the cost was gonna be, and I was like, whoo! I was like, oh my God, that's a lot. And we were debating on what we need to do next. And Jeff was actually talking with one of his clients on the phone, or texting him, and at this time it was 6 a.m. and one of our clients actually owns a few vet clinics. So Jeff was telling him what was going on, and the guy was like, you know what? My place actually opens in an hour. If she can hold off for another hour, you guys can come to my clinic, and I can do it for much, much less, because I didn't realize if you go to a 24-hour vet clinic, the prices are actually a lot more, which is understandable if it's an emergency. But I was like, oh my gosh, that is a lot for a cat. And we were actually able to take her over to our friend and client, and they were able to take care of her right away. So with us building a relationship with that client, we were actually able to get help when we needed it. And and after we thought that they were totally fine, everything was good, we ended up with problems yet again. And I'm like, God, why do these problems keep coming back? And then I ended up talking with one of our teachers from the school that we graduated from last year, and I realized that she was actually also a naturopathic vet. So I was like, Judy, I do need some help. This is what's going on. What do we need to do? And since we stayed in touch with her even after we graduated and became also really good friends with her as well, she was able to help us and give us what we need to do to be able to help us with our little fur babies. Now, I don't know about you if you have pets, but I love my little fur babies. So without that, they probably wouldn't be here on the rate that they were going. And we just didn't know what to do with them. And it was just a couple simple things that we needed to change to be able to have that happen. So on 2 different occasions, this actually helped us just by staying in touch with people and creating friendships. Now, don't go out to expect to make friends to get something else back in return. You also need to give. So Jeff and I try to make it a point that whenever we're with people, we try to help everybody as much as we possibly can, all within reason, of course. But going out of your way to help somebody is the fastest way for you to build a relationship, and make sure it's sincere too. Make sure you're wanting to help people just to help them, not for the fact that you want something in return. So with that, I am going to hand this over to Jeff, and he's going to talk about how you can develop better relationships. Here's your book.
Okay, so Teresa's with us. Hello, Shamala, hello. So we're talking about relationships today, and John has some interesting things to say about this. It says the most important.
I read that one. You can read the second one.
Okay. So Brandy's already gone through and read my part. So Brandy's going to take over the rest of this. No, I'm kidding. So skipping ahead, he says basically fleshing it out. So here's just a couple things John says about building. He says, have a leader's head, understanding people. So how do you understand people? One of the main things you can do to understand people is understanding personalities. There are 4 dominant personalities and then multiple combinations of all those different ones. Excuse me. So one of the things that you want to do is be able to, excuse me, I need to get a Kleenex here.
Oops.
Allergy
Sorry guys,
season.
it's allergy season, so we've been trying to do the best we can with keeping this at bay, but sometimes it just sneaks up on you.
So, allergy season, Dave, what are you doing? Scrolling up. Okay, so Dave had just written something about quality. I'll get to that here in a second. So, 4 different kinds of personalities. There's the D type, the I, the S, and the C. And it's basically, if you take personalities, they're kind of divided up in these sections. The first section is some people are very active, and they basically go after things instantly. And some people are very reserved. They're going to think first. They're going to contemplate. They're going to question. They're going to interview people. They're going to take a survey before they actually get into action. The other type of people who are active don't really need to question anybody. They're just going to usually get moving. And instead of questioning, they're going to tell people what they're doing along the way. So that's kind of the first segment. The second segment is some people are very task-oriented and some people are very people-oriented. The task-oriented people obviously like doing things, like doing assignments, like building, like structure. The people dominant are going to want to talk to people, socialize with people, ask questions, be in groups. Whether that be a big group or a small group, that's what they're going to go after. Denise is here. Hello. So, in dealing with these different kinds of people and building relationships, you've got the active people, you have the reserved people, then you have the people-oriented people and the task-oriented people. And basically, if you put that into a circle, that would basically cut up into 4 sections. You have the D-type personality that's going to be very active but very task. They're going to be the doers, the dominant. They're going to be kind of dogmatic. They're just going to make decisions. They're going to go for it right away. You have the I-type, which is also be at the top of the circle. This is a very active person that's very people-oriented. You know, they're going to be very active, but they're going to be likely to talk first before they actually do anything. They're imaginative. They're inspirational. They're influential. The biggest problem is sometimes they don't get around to actually physically doing anything, but they're going to talk to a lot of people along the way doing it. Then you have the bottom half, which is more the S-type personality. The S-type personality is more of the slow, steady. They're very people-oriented, but they're more reserved. They're more likely to ask questions. They're more likely to take their time making a decision, if they ever make a decision, because some people never make a decision. They're just going to talk about it. They want to consult with their friends. Typically, you'll find this person is very feeling-oriented. They'll ask, well, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? If that person's talking with a D-type or that person's talking with a task-oriented person and they go around asking people how they feel, they're going to be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, it doesn't even relate. They don't even... It's like a language they don't know. And they're expecting a response. So basically, that's obviously going to be a problem. Donald's here. Sarah's here. Hello. And then the last type of person is the C-type personality. This would be the person at the bottom left of the circle. This is a person who is also reserved, but more task-oriented. So this is the thinker. This is the engineer. This is the person that calculates. This is the contemplative. The other thing is this is a person who gets in their head and can't move forward until all the pieces are worked out. They want to unlock an entire, section of something before they'll actually get started physically doing anything. And it could slow them down and What you have to do as a leader is be able to understand these different personalities of what you're getting and be able to relate and work with these different personalities, which can drive you nuts, honestly. But once you understand it, you just have to stop and think about, okay, this is what's happening, this is what this person's saying, but what is their personality? And then what do they want in the end? You know, what are we trying to accomplish here? What do they want in the end, and how can we get that for them? Clifton, what's happening, sir? So this is something to really think about when you're dealing with a group of people and you're trying to build relationships too. It says, have a leader's heart in dealing with people. So you kind of have to look past a lot of things and say, what's the better good of everything? You know, how can I make this good no matter what? John's probably one of the better people that I've ever seen at this, where he'll overlook all flaws and just move forward with the best part of whatever you have, you know, being able to remember, what do you do well? It says you cannot be truly effective leader, the kind of people want to follow, unless you actually love people. It's just going to be physically impossible to build a people business if you don't like people. Now, there are certain things you don't like about people, you know, I mean, there's certain things we don't like about people. Everybody has those things they don't like. But in the end, we love people, you know, it's the experiences that we really remember. It's the people that we're around that we really remember in the end. That's what's really important. And third, it says, extend a leader's hand, help people. So there's a couple different ways to help people. Sometimes it's just spending time and listening, and sometimes it's actually equipping people to be able to move forward. Sometimes it's that conversation, that hard conversation to have, and say, look, what needs to happen here? What do we need to do to solve this? What do we need to do to put this together? And then be the bigger person. The A reaches out, and then B, you know, saying you're sorry, you know, stuff's going to happen. You're going to hurt people's feeling. You're going to try to do things that aren't going to work out. And you're going to have to be the bigger person that reaches out and be like, look, screwed up. What do we do to fix this? Because the goal in the end is to be able to build something. That's just, you know, network marketing 101. If you're going to build a business full of people, you're going to have issues consistently. And you're going to have to figure out how to deal with it. So John says, bring it home. To improve your relationships, do the following. Number one, improve your mind. It says your ability to understand people and improve the need. Jumpstart it by reading several books. He recommends Dale Carnegie, Les Parrott. Actually, it's Les Perot, but it looks like Les Parrott. And then spend more time observing people. Again, I always go back to Florence Littauer, Personality Plus, and or Dr. Robert Rome, Personality Profiling. Those two books that basically spell out personalities will help you more understanding people and dealing with people than any other two books that I possibly know. How to Get People to Like You in 30 Seconds or Less is another one, just to be able to break the ice with people, because that was my biggest thing, is I didn't know how to break the ice. I didn't know how to break in. I actually built an agent profile that helps people figure out how to ask questions in a certain order when you meet people. Because when you first meet people, sometimes you don't know what to say. I grew up, I was not taught to build relationships. That was not normal. That was not something I understood how to do at all. I was a D-type personality. I like doing things. And I didn't need anybody else around me to feel okay about what I was doing. I didn't need approval. I didn't seek approval. I didn't seek relationships. It never registered with me. I didn't want to hurt anybody, but in return, I didn't know that I was hurting people along the way. I just moved forward. Yeah, Rome's book was easier for me to remember. It is, Dave Peters makes a good point. Personality Plus basically spells out the Latin form of the 4 personalities, where Dr. Robert Rome with Personality Insights actually breaks it down, I would say, a little bit easier to understand. But if you want the woman's point of view, I think Florence Littauer is really good. She's very funny. The audios are just amazing.
You're gonna crack up when listening to her. Like, sometimes I like to have her speaking on the personalities, like just listening in the background if I'm doing housework or just things throughout the house. And funny enough, if you play this around your kids too, it's very entertaining, and they'll pick up on it without them realizing that they're learning something. So fun little trick right there.
So to improve your mind, you're going to read books and books about people. John Maxwell has written several books about people, obviously, but I think some of his best. There's two in particular. And Winning with People is probably my favorite book because it spells out a lot more. I don't know. It just spells out a lot more for me. When I read Winning with People, I was able to understand at a different level what to do. And then his other book, Everybody Communicates, Few Connect, basically remind me how much of an idiot I've been in building relationships with people that I didn't understand at all. And I still don't. A lot of people, will be like, oh, but you're so good at this, that. Yeah, I might be good at presenting and I might be good at talking on a show like this. But when it comes to the relationship part, not that good. Everybody's talented in something. Some of you are much, much, much better at it than I am. But we're all learning. That's something I have to work on. That was always a weakness of mine, no matter what I was building. But I started learning things from Maxwell about keeping in touch, and that's what Brandy brought up, is keeping in touch with people and the reason to keep in touch with people and just finding out how they are and who they are and what they're doing. And that's one of the things that's really helped me. Bring a new kid was tough. Yeah. The new kid, when you move, you have to learn how to meet people very quickly. I had a friend that was it was something like 10 different schools in between grade school and high school. 10 different schools. I mean, he moved like every 2 years. It was insane. Jim, where do I find that success book? Probably Back Office. You can also look up Legal Shield books. There's been a bunch of them written. Next, Strengthen Your Heart. It says, if you're not into caring towards others, as you could be, you should focus on yourself. Make a list of things that you can add value to friends. So, that's something that I had to do. I had to strategically start figuring out how to help people out. So, for instance, we had a good friend, who lost his mom, and I was also good friends with his mom, and just lost his mom recently to cancer. And we were going down to actually do a celebration, which I thought was very cool, rather than a funeral. Not that having a funeral is bad. It was just the celebration was really cool. We ended up doing a picnic. They had music. They had a slideshow. They did it on a farm that was a flower farm. They actually planted flowers there. And that was one of the things she liked. And for some reason, I found out through having a conversation with my friend, her son, that she always liked butterflies, and this place specifically had a lot of butterflies, had a lot of flowers. So one of the things we were able to do is we were able to actually look up online. Brandy actually found it, a butterfly, and it was more of a, what is it?
So what it was like it was a real butterfly encased in glass, and it had a couple flowers around it. It was really cool, but it was a real butterfly. And
so was it a paperweight or kind of like a desk?
It was like a desk ornament or paperweight. But when we gave this to his dad, was having a very hard time with the process, because when you're with somebody for so long, I can't even imagine what he could have been going through. So to be able to give him something like that, it was something that every time he'll look at it, he will think of his wife. And when he opened it, he immediately burst into tears, and he's like, thank you so much. Like, you guys have no idea how much that means to me that you would do that.
So in some cases, it's things like that I can honestly put all of the credit towards, like John Maxwell being able to think things through like that and be like, and I thought of this, I was like, we could buy flowers like everybody's going to, and we could put flowers up, but flowers are going to go away, and that's the end of it. They're a short time. So what we were able to do is find this, and that's something that will obviously be around, and both him and his dad would, I know, appreciate, and hopefully that moves down through the family and be like, this is where it came from. It says repair. This is the third thing John says: repair hurting relationships. Repair hurting relationships. Reach out now. After the show, if there's somebody that you need to repair a relationship with, say, you have to be the bigger person. And that's really, really hard for those of us who have that task-oriented, that C-type, that D-type personality. Like, we don't want to repair any relationships. It's always about us. It's our principles. We have this order of which everything should happen. And in the end, we lose. Well, I have this principle. This is just the way I do it. In the end, we lose. Why? Because people aren't like that. People just, they'll do what they do and expect the world to come to them sometimes, and everything to fix itself. But be the person to reach out and say, hey, look, today's a new day. We're going to start on a new foot and we're going to move forward. That's just the way it is. So if you need to reach out to somebody, make that happen now, because they say you may never get a second chance to do that. So that's what we have today for building relationships. The number one thing is it's about spending time. It's not necessarily about spending a long time. It's just spending time. Sometimes it's that quick conversation. Sometimes it's that text message.
Sometimes it's being awake at 3 a.m. and they have no one else to talk to and you're available.
Yeah, so that's happened more than once. Just being able to reach out and connect with people and help people out. This was, again, not something I was good at. I still don't feel this is something that I'm great at. But I'm learning, and Maxwell's books have helped tremendously. Those have probably helped more than anything else. And if I look across the board at all of the people that I know, all the backgrounds that I know, John Maxwell's book and the personality, I would say the personality book actually ranks even higher than John Maxwell. When I've given it to people and they've read the personality book, they're like, this actually helped me more than anything, because it not just helped in business, but it helped in so many different areas. Whether it be their personal relationship with their kids, relationships at work. And that's what I think is really important, is when it breaks through, it's actually, I think Jim Rohn talks about the difference between teaching lessons and teaching skills. We can teach you skills about the business, that's easy, but teaching lessons about life, that's where the greatest teachers come in. And Jim Rohn was one of the greatest teachers about life and philosophy, and I think Maxwell is kind of in that same category. But understanding the personalities is going to help you so much identify. It's almost like understanding the personalities and then using John Maxwell stuff on top of it is kind of like a double-edged sword. Both sides become sharp. Both sides of what you're doing become effective. It just makes it really easy. So that's what we got for today. What time is it?
It is
11:52.
Oh, wow, we finished early.
So does anybody have any questions about relationships, anything specific that they're working on, need to work on? Was any of this information helpful? We have a couple minutes, so go ahead and type in if you have a question. We can certainly answer some of that tomorrow. What are we talking about?
We are talking about
16 is responsibility. So we're going to skip that because that's too much work. No, I'm kidding. Responsibility, it says, if you won't carry the ball, you can't lead the team. So responsibility is going to be something really interesting. Dave Peters, I myself have to go back and make a less effort to communicate with everyone. That relationship wasn't right in the right standing. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to go back. And it's almost like you know the storm is coming if you don't. Because eventually the more bridges you burn, if you don't go back and fix them, those bridges stay burnt and those conversations stay burnt. It's just kind of the way it is. What's the name of the personality book? It's, I think there's two. Personality Plus by Florence Littauer. And then the second one is, Brandy, why don't you just write it in your notes?
Write it in my notes?
Yeah, write it in the notes on your phone. Personality Plus by Florence Littauer, and the second book is going to be Dr. Robert Rome, Personality Profiling. So Personality Plus and Personality Profiling. Those two books will help you more than you could possibly imagine. Like, I was able to connect with people that I would have never been able to connect with because I understood how things worked. Yes, Jim, the lead script's finished. It was in the messaging, and you decided to not be in the messenger group, so that's why you don't know about it. I actually put it in the messenger group a few days ago, but I can email it to you if you send me your email. I know I have your email, but I just can't remember. I can't remember if it's Jim or James Adcox, and we'll put that together. But yeah, I completed the entire script, how to kind of go after the leads. And several people have been asking me about how to go after business cards, and that's a little bit different. So we can also have a conversation about that. If you guys want to do a training on business cards and how to talk to when you run into a business card, what to do. So Brandy just put up Personality Profiling and Personality Plus. Those are the 2 personality books.
And you could get those on Amazon, or if you have a half-price books, you could go get them there too a lot of times.
And a lot of times Half Price Books doesn't have them there, but you can go to Half Price Books and order them, and they will ship them to the store, I believe, for free. Like, it doesn't cost anything to get them at that store, and then you can buy them for, you know, a lot of the books that I have, I mean, I got an entire bookshelf behind me, but a lot of the books I have, I mean, we'll find for like $1, $5, $3, $10. Can you write that down? It's james@jamesadcock.com.
Yep.
Go ahead and save that and send that to me, or text it to me, please.
Yes, yes.
So guys, that's what we got. We're going to go ahead and wrap up because I'm going to cough this out, and then we got to jump on the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, which I believe today we're on Law 14 or 15. So appreciate it. We'll talk to everybody real soon. Thanks.